Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain It's a Boy-Girl Thing. This movie tells the story of a girl and a boy who are neighbors and former childhood friends who go to the same school, but have opposite behaviors and hate each other. When they are assigned to visit a museum together, they argue in front of a statue of an Aztec god, and during the night, their souls swap bodies, bringing difficult situations to them. Can they reconcile and help each other in their swapped bodies? Let's find out in It's a Boy-Girl Thing.
It's a boy-girl thing.
Can't wait till we
The film begins by showing a girl named Nell, who is focused on reading a romantic novel in her room. However, her attention is piqued when Woody, a boy who is her neighbor and her former childhood friend, plays loud music that is deafeningly loud. Nell then asks Woody to turn down the music volume, but Woody instead seduces her by saying that he will comply with Nell's request if she shows her chest. Nell was so irritated by Woody's behavior that the girl slammed the window shut. However, Nell didn't notice that the hem of her shirt was caught, and when the girl turned around, her chest was exposed, and Woody seemed pleased to see her. The next morning, Nell enjoyed breakfast with her parents. Nell comes from a very educated family and always puts good manners first. That morning, Nell received an interview invitation from one of the best universities in the United States, which was sent by letter. Nell looked both happy and worried, for fear that she would not be accepted there. However, her parents encouraged Nell that she would definitely be able to get in there, because Nell had never let them down. On the other hand, Woody comes from an ordinary family, where he is the first person in his family who plans to continue his education to college, because Woody is an outstanding school football athlete. When going to school, Woody was picked up by his friend, a young man named Kenny, by driving a car. Meanwhile, Nell has to go to school on foot because she missed the school bus. While Nell was walking, Woody and Kenny accidentally crossed a puddle of water which then splashed on Nell's body. Nell arrived at school with a shabby appearance, which then made her the butt of her schoolmates because everyone laughed at her and made fun of her. In the school corridor, Nell meets Woody and his girlfriend, Brina Bailey, who also taunts Nell. Woody then pretends to apologize to Nell. However, Nell immediately replied to them by saying that Woody will not be successful because he never cared about his education, and Brina will gradually lose her beauty because Woody will not be able to pay for her beauty treatments. After being satisfied with expressing all her feelings, Nell then hurriedly left them, while Woody and Brina were unable to reply to Nell's words. In the classroom, Woody is secretly accessing obscene websites on Nell's computer when the girl is off guard. Suddenly, there was a loud female moan, which drew everyone's attention to Nell. Woody laughed happily because he had managed to retaliate. Their class then goes on a school trip to the museum, where Nell is forced to work with Woody by their teacher to do research on one of the statues in the museum. Instead of doing their task, Nell and Woody had a fight in front of a statue of an ancient Aztec god. Unbeknownst to the two of them, the statue emitted white smoke and surrounded them. Nell and Woody, who are still at odds, then decide to go in opposite directions, leaving the statue. That night, when Nell and Woody were sleeping in their respective rooms, white smoke came out of their bodies. The next morning, Woody got out of bed and realized something was wrong with his body. Woody then held his chest, which had suddenly enlarged. When Woody looked into his pants, how surprised he was when he found out that he had female genitalia. Woody rushed to the mirror and was very surprised to see Nell's face and body in the mirror's reflection. Elsewhere, Nell also felt a strangeness in her body that she had never felt before. Nell and Woody then opened their respective bedroom windows and were very surprised by the changes that had occurred, where they both turned out to have swapped bodies somehow. After bathing and getting dressed, Woody and Nell rushed into the dining room to have breakfast with their respective families. Woody, who was in Nell's body, was forced by Nell's mother, Catherine, to eat wheat porridge. Not liking it, Woody secretly poured the food into Nell's pet cat's feeding bowl. Meanwhile, Nell, who was in Woody's body, was forced to eat fatty foods that she didn't like, so Nell vomited it. Nell and Woody finally meet at school and have absolutely no idea what really happened. Nell then cries because she doesn't want to be Woody, which she thinks is very annoying. Woody also asks Nell to stop crying because his reputation as a tough young man will be tarnished, and tries to calm Nell by saying that maybe their body swap will only last for one day, and tomorrow they will be back to normal. Nell stopped crying and started living her life as Woody, and vice versa. While in the canteen, Nell was visited by Brina, who invited Woody to come over to her house tonight because her parents were away. Brina then whispered something into Woody's ear, where Nell, who was currently inside Woody's body, was so shocked to hear Brina's words, which were considered very indecent, to the point of dropping her food on the floor. Nell, who felt disgusted at Brina, then hurriedly left her. Not only that, Nell also has to take part in training with the football team because Woody is an outstanding school football athlete. But because Nell couldn't play football at all and always made mistakes, Nell was severely scolded by the coach. The next day, Nell and Woody wake up and find that they are still swapped. At school, Woody then came to Nell after learning that Nell's football practice was very bad. Woody scolded Nell for not wanting his reputation as an outstanding football athlete to be tarnished. Woody also seemed displeased with Nell's dress, who wore a shirt and looked dapper. The next day, Woody replied to Nell by wearing sexy clothes to school, so that the boys who saw then seduced Woody. Seeing this, Nell hurriedly took off her jacket to cover Woody's visible thighs. But Woody doesn't care and deliberately makes Nell labeled as a bad girl at school. Nell didn't stay silent when Woody planned to ruin her reputation. Using Woody's body, Nell then came to Brina and said that Woody was no longer interested in Brina and decided to end their relationship. Knowing that Nell has ended his relationship with Brina unilaterally, an angry Woody plans to avenge Nell's actions by saying that Nell will lose her virginity. Woody then goes with a young man named Nicky who is known as a delinquent youth who always causes trouble. Nell was so shocked to hear that she could only stand frozen and unable to do anything. In the evening, Nicky takes Woody to his house trailer, where he intends to do it. Even though Woody told Nell he was going to have sex with Nicky, it was really all a bluff, and Woody didn't really mean it. Woody runs away from Nicky and rushes home. The next day, Nell hears a rumor circulating at school that she has slept with Nicky. Nell immediately felt shock and cried in frustration, because she had lost her honor as a good girl and everyone now bullied her. Nell then meets with Woody who lies by telling her that last night was fun. Nell tells Woody that she plans to give up her virginity willingly to a young man she truly loves. Hearing this, Woody felt sorry and revealed to Nell that last night absolutely nothing happened, and he deliberately lied just to upset Nell. Knowing that the rumors about Nell sleeping with Nicky were spread by Nicky himself, Woody rushed to Nicky and tried to bring him down. But because Woody is trapped in Nell's body, Nicky can easily parry his attacks. Nell then came, and after gathering enough courage, Nell finally managed to knock Nicky down with Woody's physical strength. After being threatened by Nell and Woody, Nicky finally apologized and admitted that he had lied by spreading the rumor. Nell and Woody then engage in a conversation in which Nell reveals that she is worried about the upcoming football match. Woody then realized that before their bodies were swapped, they were arguing in front of an ancient Aztec god statue. Therefore, Nell and Woody rushed to the museum and visited the statue. They both try to talk to the statue by saying that now they are close and good friends. Woody and Nell then closed their eyes and counted to 3. However, nothing happened, and their bodies were still switched. Woody then tells Nell that she has the power of his body because now Nell's soul is trapped in Woody's body. Therefore, Nell should take advantage of that and use it to play football. Woody then coached Nell to play football for the upcoming match, while Nell taught Woody and helped him prepare for the interview session at the university that Nell had been dreaming of all along. Later that evening, Nell chats with Woody's father, Stan, where Stan reveals that he and Nell's father, Ted, are actually good friends. However, their friendship is opposed by Nell's mother, Catherine, who thinks that the Woody family is not equal to their family. One day, Woody, still trapped in Nell's body, is invited to Brina's house by her friends, where Woody finally finds out that Brina has always been bad-mouthing Woody in front of her friends, and has never truly loved Woody. Meanwhile elsewhere, Kenny and Woody's friends take Nell to a place, where they then have fun and drink together. Because this was the first time Nell had drunk alcohol, Nell woke up feeling a terrible headache the next morning. Woody, knowing this, then came to Nell and helped her overcome the influence of alcohol so that Nell felt better. After that, Nell and Woody returned to practice football and studied together for the campus interview session. After spending so much time together, Nell and Woody became very fond of each other and began to understand each other better. At dinner, Catherine told her daughter that Nell had been behaving really strangely recently. Catherine then said that she was against Nell and Woody's friendship, because she thought Woody was a bad boy from an ordinary family. Hearing this, Woody seemed annoyed and tried to tell Nell's mother that Woody and his family were not what she thought. However, Catherine emphasized that it was Nell herself who had said that, which made Woody very sad and disappointed in Nell. Woody, who was very irritated, then took all his anger out on Nell, and told her about what her mother had said, which was very hurtful to Woody. Nell and Woody got into an argument and they parted ways. On the day of Nell's interview at Yale University, which also coincided with the day of Woody's football game, Woody rushed to Yale and almost ruined the interview session. But then, Woody started talking about poetry and rap, which surprised the interviewer. At the same time, Nell is also preparing for a football match with her team and is determined to do her best and win the game, so that Woody can get a scholarship to continue his education to college. After the interview session was over, Woody rushed off to a football match, where he then saw Nell run in the winning touchdown in the closing seconds. A college recruiter witnesses Nell's good performance and intends to recruit Nell. Nell and her team finally managed to win, and Woody looked so happy. Woody then goes to see Nell after the game, and says that he is worried about the outcome of the interview, fearing that he will not pass and disappointing Nell. However, Nell tells him that Woody must have done his best in the interview and is confident that Woody will definitely pass. Woody and Nell apologized to each other, and unknowingly said the words they had spoken before in front of the ancient Aztec god statue. Suddenly, the statue emitted white smoke, and not long after, Woody and Nell returned to their respective bodies and everything became normal again. Woody and Nell looked both surprised and pleased by the sudden change. However, before they could speak any further, Brina and the school football team came over to Woody. Brina then kissed Woody, and Nell, who saw this, was so annoyed and jealous that she decided to leave. Woody rushed after Nell, but she was already gone. The next day, Woody comes to Nell's house to explain everything and intends to take her to the homecoming dance. However, Nell's mother did not allow Woody to talk to her daughter, and then kicked Woody out. Nell and her father are visibly angry and disappointed by her mother's rude attitude to Woody and his family. Nell then received a notification letter from Yale University, stating that Nell had been successfully accepted at the university, which meant that Woody's interview had been a success. However, Nell still feels annoyed with Woody, so she decides not to come to the homecoming dance. Meanwhile, Woody goes to the homecoming dance unenthusiastically because he's still thinking about Nell. Ned then goes over to his daughter sitting pensively on the porch and asks why Nell doesn't want to go to the homecoming dance. Nell finally confesses to her dad that she really likes Woody and is sad that Woody likes another girl. Ned then cheered on his daughter by giving her a ball gown and a beautiful pair of shoes, which he had prepared for his daughter so Nell could go to the dance. Nell looked so happy with the gift and then hugged her father tightly. After being persuaded by her father, Nell finally decides to go to the homecoming dance. Meanwhile at the prom, Woody and Brina are crowned the prom king and prom queen. But Woody doesn't seem happy about it because the most important thing to him now is Nell. Just as Woody and Brina were about to dance as the chosen king and queen of homecoming, Nell appeared there and strode gracefully into the banquet hall. Woody immediately threw away his crown and rushed over to Nell, where he seemed so happy that Nell had finally come and wanted to talk to him again. Woody then asked Nell to go with him so they could be alone. Nell told Woody about her graduation and thanked him. They then expressed their love for each other, share a kiss in front of their house, and at the same time, the friendship between Stan and Ted is getting better, and they seem happy with their children's relationship. The next day, Nell tells her mother she is taking a year off before going to Yale, and rushes into Woody's car and they leave together. The film ends. The moral we can learn from this film is never to judge someone only from the outside, because everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, and without us realizing it, we ourselves also have strengths and weaknesses. So, with mutual respect and understanding, we will complement each other, and we can build a relationship, both friendship or love, to be better and last longer.